Welcome back to another episode of Who Am I to Judge Podcast. I'm Alexis.
Hi. I'm Samantha. That's from the new Kendrick album that you haven't listened to yet, but so it might not make sense.
Not. How are you?
I am great. I am newly 32, so fresh 32.
230.
Yes. So I feel good about that. I had a really good weekend. It's so weird, like when it gets to be this time of the year, I feel like the days just go into each other and I'm like on full holiday time, but it's like, no, like you're actually like an adult and you need to get back to work and stuff. But I took off like Friday through Monday, and so I had a really nice weekend. Courtney came over with Danielle. We went out to eat, and we went to see Gladiator 2, which was good. And then just like had a good time. I got a massage on Sunday, which was really nice and transformative. The lady was just like speaking over my life, which was nice. And it was a black-owned place. It was called Mustard Seed in DC. Check them out. And then I saw Wicked yesterday. So, yes. And yesterday was my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mommy. I love you so much.
We love you.
She's our number one fan of the podcast.
She is. She will get a free merchandise one for her birthday.
Hilarious. When we have some work to do.
We have some, but it's coming.
Yes.
I had
How
a good.
are you?
I'm good. I mean, just busy. Like today, I was gonna take a comp day at work because I had worked so many hours last week, but then somebody wanted to have a meeting with me, and then I had to finish a report. So I was like, fine. So I'm taking my comp day tomorrow.
Okay.
But today I had to go to the doctor. So like, it was just like I had a physical. So I've been like poked and prodded. Like I had like a tetanus shot. They drew blood. They flushed my ears. I was supposed to get a pap smear, but
Alexis is a baby.
I cannot. So like I have to go in 2 weeks to get it. And then just like the physical itself, I don't know. I would like left feeling like, oh my God, I've been like poked with so many different things. But it's good to get your yearly physical. And then I came home, just did like work. Mello got groomed today too at 7:45. So I was like up very early today. So I took her this morning.
I would never make an appointment that early.
I wouldn't eat. Well, this is the thing. I'm a morning person. This is my thing. I'd rather have my night to myself and my evening to myself. So I'd rather get whatever I need to get done so I can just like chill the rest of the day. And I guess they have different hours like the week leading up to a holiday, because my mom said when she picked up Mel, it was like insanely packed, and they normally don't open till 8:30, but they had 7:45 appointments this week. So I think it's because they're racking up money.
Yeah, right.
And so that was it. And then, yesterday I just did work all day. And then I went to Best Buy because the gamer in me wanted a PlayStation 5. And I had like my company had sent me some gift cards, and then my mom had some gift cards. So I literally put it all together and I didn't have to pay any money for it.
Yay.
I was so happy.
I want to see what this thing looks like. Is it like a big like console?
It's like a system. It's not like this the handheld.
Got it.
I would lift it up, but it's literally like heavy. But I got that and an extra controller for Julia so she could play. And just but tomorrow I'm so excited for my comp day. We're going to Keela's house because I made my pie crust for the coconut pie for Christmas for Thanksgiving. So just all of those things, it is what it is.
It is that time. Alexis is home in the DMV
till Friday. And then back to New York. On Friday, me and Julia are buying like Christmas tree and like a bunch of stuff to decorate the house. Aww. So I'm excited to get back.
I know I need to put my Christmas tree up.
But let me tell you, without fail here, I'm starving anytime I come home. Like literally.
Why?
Because it's just like nobody eats lunch here. Nobody eats barely breakfast. Like they just eat dinner. So it's just like I wake up and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll have Cheerios because that's usually what's here. So I have Cheerios, and then I'm like, at lunch, I'm like, is anybody getting lunch? My mom's like, I'm gonna eat a big dinner. I'm like, okay, who's eating lunch? Nobody's eating lunch. So then I end up having to like DoorDash it or like find the leftovers.
That
But I
is
think my
so
mom
funny.
cooks like exactly for us. So it's like there's no leftovers
But
sometimes.
isn't this a new thing? I feel like you've always had like
Maybe growing
food.
up when I lived here, there was always food, but I feel like once I stopped living here, anytime I come home, I'm like starving. It's like the running joke. And so I was starving because like my doctor's appointment was at 10. Sorry, I'll wrap this up, but my doctor's appointment was at 10:40, so I could not eat before because I had to get blood work. So
Mm-hmm.
by the time I left, it was like 12 o'clock. I was starving. Um, but anyway, whatever.
That was so
Let's
funny.
move on. Let's get to
Let's
it.
get to it.
Who is on or what is on trial, Samantha?
We have, like the way you said Samantha made me laugh, but we have a few things to talk about. We've had a few major events that have happened since we last spoke. One thing I definitely want to talk about and that I was so happy about. It felt like a birthday present to me. Kendrick dropped his new album. There's a lot of debate on whether it's like actually his next album or like more like an EP kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it is on Apple Music
Mm-hmm.
as like one of his albums,
Yeah.
so we're gonna just call it
And
that.
people are talking about it as an album. So, like on Spotify,
Yeah.
it's called an album. Like, I don't know.
Yes, exactly. So it came out on Jupiter. It came out on the 22nd. And it is just right on time and just it's just so good. Like it has a lot of old school Cali references. There has some like groovy kind of slow songs on there, and then there's some like, not like us like energy
Okay.
songs on there. And yeah, it's just really good. Like it will have you dancing, it'll have you thinking about life
Okay. I'll
as
listen to
Kendrick
it.
usually does.
I'll listen to it on the way home.
And it definitely was it's very like timely. Like he's like, yeah, the other day, like I like there was this girl on TikTok that was talking about how the reason why she doesn't think it's the album is because it's like too present. Like he likes his albums to be like very, timeless, I guess, in terms of like
Mm-hmm.
what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So he was talking about, his whacked out mural. Like he saw like somebody
Mm-hmm.
did, what's the word? Like
Defaced.
defaced his mural.
Mm-hmm.
And of course he's like talking about Lil Wayne and how like it's just like, damn, like my hard work like offended you.
I saw that. Yeah.
And yeah, he just got some people's panties in a bunch, of course. And then all of a sudden Drake wants to file a lawsuit, which is just so random to me.
What was the
I
lawsuit over?
So it's regarding his streams. Like basically, let me just pull it up. He's claiming that Universal Music Group artificially inflated Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us numbers on
Mm-hmm.
Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like
What does that have
hilarious.
to do with Drake? I guess it's like, did Drake lose money in that situation? Like, what is the harm to Drake that he needs to sue?
Exactly. Like that's what's like showing like this boy is so mad. He didn't even sue him off of like what he was saying or like, defamation. It's like he's claiming that he artificial like Alexis, that's a great point because we don't know how this is affecting.
Yeah, I guess I
He's
was
just
just
so
waiting for it.
mad that he's just like, I'm gonna do something, which is just so whack. Like it is just crazy to involve the law in these songs. And also it'd be one thing, like I said, if he was like suing for defamation. I mean, this man called him a pedophile in this song, and that was not what he is suing for. He's suing for the numbers. And it's just like, boy, we were
Aubrey.
playing out that song.
It's so interesting to me, Drake, because I'm like, he really could. He's kind of on the situation with, I feel like Nicki Minaj, where like they both could have like lived their like year, like
Right.
later years in
Lil
success,
Wayne
and
too.
And well, I would say Lil Wayne, but not as much Lil Wayne as these two. These two literally could have been. I mean, they are iconic, but they could have really had like been universally seen as that. But I feel like now they're so
Mm-hmm.
universally trolled, and it's because of their behavior. Because I'm just like Drake. Like as much as people want to call him a cornball, whatever, Drake owned the 2010s just like Nicki Minaj did, and he was featured on everything. He had constantly charting songs, and people were like putting him in, conversations of like, one of the top 5, top 10 rappers. And so it's just so interesting to me, his downfall. And I would love to like take a deep dive into this one day of just like, what was the turning point where it became like, okay, he's like funny to troll, but like we respect him, to now he's just like lame.
It's his own fault. That's the thing.
It is his
He's
own
do
fault, but I just want to know
he's
when
doing
that
lame
happened.
moves. I mean,
Yeah,
it
because
was
I'm like,
literally. I
it was before
remember.
Not Like Us though, because I feel like
Yes,
I remember him.
yes,
Like he was like wearing stupid outfits. He was like, he was just always kind of I think
yes. I
actually it
mean,
started with his. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. What were you gonna say?
I was just
What
gonna
do you
say
think
I
it
think it
started?
started with his beef with oh my god, the guy who like like who revealed that he had a son. I feel like it started
Oh,
there
Pusher T.
because yes, because I feel like once it was known that he had a son that he was like hiding and basically got forced to show, that's when I feel like I remember the narrative changing to him being like, boy, you lost your rap beef and you got a son. Like, it just like turned rather than
I feel like
rather than
people were
before.
still. I agree.
People have
That was
always made
definitely.
fun of him though.
But I think that's like a nebulous, or I don't know if that's the right word, but like of like he thought he thought he was on top of the world when he beat
Mm-hmm.
Meek Mill, and
Mm-hmm.
he's
Mm-hmm.
having beef with the likes of Kanye and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pusha T and all this stuff. But I do feel like for me personally, I remember when he put out his like house music album,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like,
Oh, that's a little later. That's like after the kid
hmm.
was revealed. Wow.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I didn't listen to a lot of like Scorpion or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
I did listen to some. Like there was like albums that I was listening to, or just like when he would put out stuff. But I feel like, and then when he started talking about Megan Thee Stallion, that was really when it was like,
I feel
okay,
like I agree. I think all these things are cornballish,
that
but
was
I
when I
do
was like,
feel
I'm
like
not
he
gonna
was
listen
getting.
to
I
it.
don't know. I feel like it was even sooner than that. But he's just an interesting person
I mean,
because,
he's
like I
been
said,
being trolled for a minute.
he's always been made fun of. But there was a difference. Like it was a level of like he's made fun of, but we respect him. To like he's made fun of, and we actually don't respect him. And we think he's like stupid and corny.
I
And I
mean, it's
and
been
that's
levels
just so
to it.
funny to me. It
This
is
is the
levels to
final.
it.
This we thought there was like a final coffin, like nail in the coffin, but this
Well, it shows that he just has no shame and he's not
contacting.
embarrassed.
But I think he is like, I think that's why he is so mad. Like, did you see him on
True.
the streaming thing where he was like, I'm back, like I'm in one, like
I did see that.
I'm
Yeah.
together, mind, body, and soul. Like he
Yeah, I
just
did see
sounds
that.
like such a.
He's definitely triggered, but he's no shame. But some of these people, I don't know, men and like power and money, they have no shame. Like embarrassment is just no low because at the end of the day, he still will have like men around him and just like women that want to date him. So it's just like
I know,
he
but I
might just
think
really not care
no,
to
I think
that
he
extent.
does.
I think he cares, but not to the extent where he's
I
gonna
think
like
he
go
does because
quietly.
oh no. I mean, he's gonna go like he's not gonna go quietly, like he said, but I think he definitely cares. I think he definitely feels like, you know, even more so. He's just like this. The whole internet is just like playing him over this thing to the point where it's just
That's
like,
true, but then there's a side of the internet that he like probably gets praised. That's what I'm saying. It's like he will always still get like the people that are like, Kendrick's corny for saying it. It's like it's
I
weird.
know. I know. I mean, I'm sure he'll hang on to that validation as much as he can, but I think at the end of the day, to have somebody lay all your shit out like that and for everybody to be like touch and agree of like, yeah, like he is kind of like he is like a colonizer of the culture, Loki, and like not respecting it and blah blah blah. Yeah, I think we are seeing a it's like I don't know how he comes back from this to actually be respected among like
We'll see.
us, really, you know, like.
We'll see. One
But
thing
we'll
that I've
see.
learned is that
People be coming
America,
back.
we have a short
Yes,
memory,
we
okay?
do.
People do things way worse than Drake in the music industry, and we have listened to their music within a year or two later, you know?
Hmm.
So, I mean, I'm like, we'll see, but it's just fascinating to me because I really do feel like they really could have cemented themselves in a different way, and now it's different.
And I honestly think it's all three. Like I honestly,
I don't think Lil
Little
Wayne is as
Wayne.
damaged as Nicki
I mean,
Minaj.
it's not as damaged, but they are all three going out like kind
I
of
don't think Lil
sad.
Wayne's going out bad.
But
Like,
I think I've just
what
heard
did he do?
like he's just been really harping about this damn Super Bowl thing.
But
Like
is that
it's
that big
like
of a deal?
crying about it. It's just like these guys are weird. Like what are you crying?
Well,
Like
I feel
he
like
is
this is the thing. He
Little
has a
Wayne is
point.
going on stage at his festival. This guy. Shout out
His
to him
like
on
Lil
T.
Wayne's festival.
Yes, shout out to this guy on TikTok. He has a podcast called Grits and Eggs, and he had a take on just like Little Wayne, and it was just like, yeah, like why are you so like you are still talking about this like I should have got that, and I'm really hurt at your event when like people are honoring you and blah blah blah, and it's just like, boy, if you don't shut up, like
I don't
I don't
know.
know. I
Like,
just feel like he's in that
I see
same
your
lane
point. I see your
about
point.
Nicki Minaj when they're just like kicking and screaming. It's just like,
Mhm.
you don't, nobody promised you
I
this.
see your point, but I don't guess I just put them in a different angle because I feel and I do feel like people are selective with like who they want to like single out for stuff like that because I'm just like I do believe, and we kind of had this conversation, so I'm not going to rehash it, but I do believe that he was like somewhat snubbed in the sense that the Super Bowl is going to be in New Orleans and he would be like the teed up person. Secondly, especially because Kendrick has been on a Super Bowl stage before, it would be, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. And then secondly, I feel like there are many people who have gotten snubbed by things and have like mentioned it in many different ways multiple times. And I'm not, I mean, we love this person. As I always say, I love this person, but no one's above a critique. But I have heard either Beyonce in a song, on a stage, through her husband, in many different platforms, talk about, in a magazine, in an interview, talk about how she doesn't get album of the year. So I'm just saying, like, I don't think that someone like constantly advocating and talking about the fact that they're not getting something that like other people would agree they're getting snubbed is a problem. But I guess I'm just saying, I don't know. Like for me, I mean not Nicki Minaj, Lil Wayne most of the time like doesn't talk. Like most of the time I feel like I don't ever see his name
I
come
think
up,
it's
you
just
know?
because I don't think you were like, I don't think you're on that part of the internet. I'm not
Maybe
either.
that's it.
I'm hearing this through this guy on TikTok that's just like,
I
he
mean,
was
I've
on
seen
his
him
stage
talk at
talking.
his like concert stage. I've seen the video of him talking about on his concert stage how he was, you know, snubbed and how he's like, you know, I've seen those videos, but I guess to me it didn't strike as like you're going out bad. I'm kind of like I do think he was a little snub. Like I mean maybe it's just like I do think there was an injustice enough that like I'm like I probably would
I
still be
don't
talking about it
know.
too. Like
I don't
you're about to come to
know.
my city and you've already done the Super Bowl in your city and you're in like I don't know. Like I do feel like that he has a little bit of a
I know, but I do feel
say.
like it's also just like, I don't know. I again we've talked about this when it first
Mhm.
happened, but the Super Bowl, I don't know. I just don't think it just is weird to me to like feel like, I don't know, like you were owed that, but I get it. I just wish
Mhm.
that it was more like being more realistic. I don't know. I haven't seen Lil Wayne perform,
I think
but
that's a good point. Like you're not owed
like,
anything.
if are you at the like are you fit to do a Super Bowl performance? And I'm also, another thing, I am
I
just
don't
like
know.
kind of remembering, like we said, we have like short memories, just Lil Wayne on Trump's, like trying
Mhm.
to get pardoned and stuff, or he did get pardoned or something from Trump.
What did he do?
I forget. I don't know. I just think that I just know there's a picture of them together, and I'm just like, we don't need that right now. We need not like us. Like there are a lot of culture vultures out here, and yeah. So, anyways,
Yeah, let's move on. Who Am I to Judge podcast is getting their own Patreon, honey, and we're talking about our queen bee. You know we love her so much, so of course we had to have a separate spot for us to just talk all things Beyonce. We're talking music, we're talking documentaries, we're talking relationships, we're talking love addiction, everything, all things Beyonce. So if you want to hear some real BeyHive talk, click the link in the bio. Launching December 27th. Go check it out.
good job, B.
I want to hear your thoughts on Wicked because you said you saw it and you had some thoughts, and I'm like, oh, interesting. Well, just for context, Samantha has never seen Wicked the musical.
And I'm
You
not
also said you didn't listen
alone.
to the soundtrack, right?
Well,
Or have you listened to the soundtrack?
I've heard some song. Like, what do you mean, the new
Okay.
song soundtrack, or like
No,
the
like just
just
the
in
musical.
life?
Have you listened to the musical, like in your life?
I've heard some songs,
Okay.
like popular. Like I could sing that. Like I've
Okay.
seen the play and I haven't.
Yeah.
And
Can you
like
sing
I
any other
kind
song, or is that like the song you know?
I feel like there's a couple others that I've heard, but that's the
Okay.
one that sticks out to me the most.
Okay.
And then I also like know, I know the story a little bit. I thought that they were sisters, and so that's like where I'm wrong. Like they met at school. But yeah, like I knew who the original Alphaba was, and like I yeah, just again, I obviously knew that it came like from the Wizard of Oz, and it's like um, Alphaba's story, the Wicked Witch of the West story, like her
Mm-hmm.
backstory, her reason of why she is the way she is. So I did
Mm-hmm.
know that. So yes, like giving that disclaimer, I have not ever seen the play, and I'm honestly a little mad that I like had this experience before the play, because I'm gonna
I
be
agree.
honest, like I felt like
And I told you that.
I know, but it's also just kind of like there was some things. First of all, it was beautiful. Let's start with the good things. It was like a beautiful world. Like, I love that world of the Wizard of Oz. Like,
Mm-hmm.
grew up with that. Watched The
Mm-hmm.
Wiz.
Mm-hmm.
Um, love like the Technicolor kind of image, and so that
Mm-hmm.
was really cool to see. And then like just their adaptations of Munchkinland, and like it
Mm-hmm.
did make me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought Ariana Grande was really good, and like just her
Mm-hmm.
character. But I can't lie, like I felt some type of way, and like low key like felt like some of it was just low key anti-black. Like low key just kind of like it was just too much. Like I feel like they were trying to make it kind of like they were trying to make it deep, of just like like
What made you think that? Like, what are the like, I guess I'm like, what do you mean? Like, in what? Like, give me an
well,
example of an instant where you were like,
everybody's
oh,
just
this is too
like,
deep.
well, they made little comments of just like, I don't see color or whatever, like
Oh yeah,
just
that
kind
was
of like
funny.
that.
Yeah.
And then so I knew that they were trying to do that too,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like this, woman with black features, and she's green, and it's just like everybody's just like, ew, like, oh my God. Like it was just too much of like
Mm-hmm.
the ostracizing, I feel like, and not enough.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like Cynthia's character was like fully developed almost. Like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
Ariana, like I thought she killed it. I thought she was like, that whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
even like just in terms of like how they did it, I feel like they put a lot more into Ariana's wardrobe, and not saying that like I know she's not supposed to be this glamorous girl, but it's just kind of like it was too much. It was just like, okay, you guys, this girl's wearing the same outfit the whole time, and it's kind of like an afterthought, and like Ariana's like Galinda's whole room is like lit up, like, it's like pink everywhere. Like she has all these outfits, and I don't know. It just felt, I don't. And then also, again, this is another like picky thing. Like I wished you would have just had an English accent. Like I don't know why
Mm-hmm.
she did like an American accent. I feel like it could have been fine. There's no reason to like have an American accent.
Mm-hmm.
Um and so yeah, I just feel like there was just little stuff like that where it was just like a little much, like how they were just so grossed out by her.
You really have to see the musical. I only say that
I
because, like, and
know.
I
I
told
just
you
feel
that I
like
really wish
I
that
think
you
it's
saw the
just
musical
I just think
before,
it's the
like,
layers of sorry, I just won't finish. I just feel like it's the
hmm?
layers of that. Like it's like I feel like the original story kind of got like
What do you
I
mean
don't
the
really
original story? I guess I'm like, are
like
you
the
talking about the
play.
musical?
Yeah, the
Okay, the musical, I feel
musical.
like so it's funny because I've seen the musical in London. I saw the musical in New York like years ago. I've seen it
Mhm.
twice, and then like I'm like truly a Wicked stan. Like there are times in my
Mhm.
life where I have listened to that play, like that soundtrack, the original Broadway cast, probably 5 times a day. Like it's
Mhm.
crazy. I've seen like I have gone through phases where I'm like on YouTube looking at like final performances of Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, like who's the real Buck. Like, will I as someone who's seen the musical and is like this musical is like comfort food to me at a point.
Mhm.
It it was like exactly the musical. Like I like literally left being like, this is exactly what happened in the musical. Like, you
Mhm.
know how sometimes there's usually like departure storylines or like a random,
Mhm.
they put in a new thing that's happened. This was when I say like the closest I've ever seen to like identical to down to like the lines, like almost saying the same like
Uh-huh.
lines leading into the song,
I know what you
like than
mean.
I've ever seen before. And so that's why I
Mhm.
was like, what are you talking about by original? Because I would say like in the musical, they make it very clear that like Elphaba is like disgusting to them, is like gross to
Well,
them,
I
is
think
like,
maybe
is
because
completely ostracized to the point where it's like she has no one wants to go near or touch her. And
mhm.
it's funny because I feel like they they actually, I feel like, did a really good job of like that moment during Dancing Through Life when like the relationship changes between Alphaba and
Mhm.
Glinda. They do a great job of like showing that. Like I feel like it showed Elphaba's humanity even more than I think the musical does. Because I feel like
Mhm.
you only have so much time in a musical, so I feel like
Mhm.
you see that she wears the hat to the Ozdas ballroom. They're all laughing at her, and then immediately goes into this like dance. But I feel like
Mhm.
in the musical, they did such a good job of like I mean, not the musical, the movie doing such a good job of like having like minutes of it just being like laughing, and then like minutes of it just being like the awkward dancing, and then fine, like you
Mhm.
really feel the guilt, I feel like, of Glinda, and you really feel like how at this point ostracized Alphaba's been.
Mhm.
And so for me, I was like, they like did not, the only departure they had was the Grimarie song that's not in the musical, the original musical.
Mhm.
Other than that, I was like, they literally like stuck to it. I will say,
Yeah.
I thought that in the musical, Elphaba pretty much wears like what we're seeing like in it's
Mhm.
interesting how closely they did to the musical. Like the only difference was like usually Glinda's wearing a blue outfit instead of a pink outfit at one point,
Mhm.
but I feel like other than that, like everything was kind of kept normal. Like that's what happens in the
Mhm.
musical. um I think that's why I wish you saw it before, because most of the time from the 2 times I've seen it, I've never seen a black Alphaba. I've only seen a white
Mhm.
person, but I have seen a
Mhm.
black Glinda before in
Mhm.
Broadway. And when I was in London, there was a black Fiero. So I say that
Mhm.
to say, I guess I didn't like seeing Cynthia play Alphaba. It didn't come off the way you're receiving it, because I feel like I'm used to it being a white person being like the people are
Mhm.
disgusted by it. So it was just
Mhm.
it was like, oh, like
And
we're
it was almost like, yeah, and I hear what you're saying. Like I get that. And I just feel like because it's almost like because we be ostracized like that already. I don't know. It was just kind of like
And
it was a
honestly,
little triggering. Like,
but I think that's like when it shows you like it's such a good musical. Like I don't know, in my mind I was like I literally left being like, wow, um Alphaba probably should have started off as like the original character probably shouldn't have been Idina Menzel. It probably should have been a black person because I feel like the type of reaction you're getting, you're not going to get from a white person playing Alphaba
yeah.
because it's like you actually are like
But I feel like,
in this skin. I don't know. Cynthia has a good interview about it.
I guess I feel like yes, but I also feel like, I don't know, I don't feel like they did a good job of, if they were going to make that she's like, like tie into the fact that she's black, like has black features, or like, the color of your skin is, and then maybe they say this in play, like, as twisted as your insides or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like, I don't know. I just don't know if they did a good job of what that actually feels like as like a black person versus just like, ew, like don't touch her. Like, you know what I'm
Yes, but
saying?
remember, they're not in this world. In this world, just to like give you a devil's
Yeah,
advocate,
there's no black
in
and
this
white.
world, she's not black. Like, in this world, she's green and everybody else is not green. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's
Mm-hmm.
not like they're trying to make a like think piece in 2024 about like, this
I
is what it,
kind of feel
like,
like
these are
they
black,
are
this,
though. Like,
I
I feel like
don't,
people
I
that
didn't
are
think
like
that at all.
talking about it, like when I saw all the reviews, like everybody was like, we needed this right now. Like, this is such a powerful
Yes, and I
movie
think it's
for
the
the
message
state
of
and
like
the world.
censorship. Like, don't you like didn't like with Dr.
Censorship.
Gillum, yeah, like the whole censorship that like I feel like that's like the most poignant part of it. Like they're
What
no
do you
longer
mean?
letting goats speak. They're now letting they're no longer letting animals speak. Right? They're putting them in
Mm-hmm.
cages. They're banning them. They're literally taking them out of like
Mm-hmm.
classrooms and stuff. I feel like censorship is like such a big part of this musical. I
Yes.
remember when I saw it probably right before the 2020 election, and that was
Mm-hmm.
like it was like they were very poignant on that point, and it was just like, oh, like I think censorship, I think racism obviously is a big thing of it, but I don't know. I didn't like when I that's why I feel like you should have listened to the
Yeah,
songs and seen it because
I need to go
it's
see it on Broadway.
it's so identical that like it's
And
hard for me to even
I
they're
will
different.
say, I do feel like there's a little bit of like other stuff too. Like, I've heard some, like bad takes about like Cynthia probably recently, like in
Mhm,
my, my
mhm.
sphere. And then
I mean,
also
Cynthia's not in this.
I remember you saying like how it was just kind of like, that maybe like somebody like unknown should have got these parts, or just like
Yeah,
somebody different.
yeah,
And like, I don't know, like just
absolutely.
her doing the American accent
But I'd
and
rather have
like,
Cynthia than Ariana. I hate to say it. I mean, Ariana killed it, but I feel like if we're gonna talk, like, I agree. Like, I remember thinking they both shouldn't have got those roles before I saw it because I was like, they're both very famous in like the
mm-hmm,
Broadway world or in the mainstream world. And I don't know, I'm a Broadway buff. Like I follow a lot of Broadway stars who like auditioned for
mm-hmm,
these roles that didn't get them that are
mm-hmm,
lesser known.
mm-hmm,
I was
mm-hmm,
definitely feeling like, oh, this is one of those things where they're casting because they know it will bring in eyes. So I had
mm-hmm.
very low expectations. I will say, I think they both blew it, exceeded my expectations. Um, them two specifically. I mean, Ariana Grande, I forget she comes from Nickelodeon. The girl can act. And then Cynthia Erivo, the girl can sing. I mean, this is our Celie from Color Purple, right? Like she was on the musical on Broadway. I
Mm-hmm,
mean, the girl can
mm-hmm,
sing and she can act. And so I feel
mm-hmm,
like it kind of yes, I still feel the same way. That like in that I wish they would have gone with lesser known people. But I think
mm-hmm,
they did what they did, and I think they both
mm-hmm.
rose to the occasion. I think they understood they had to
Okay.
like overperform.
Okay. I mean, it's so interesting. Just like, I think, just like you said, like from me not seeing it ever, from just this, like, even just back what you were saying with the censorship thing, it was like, the black woman's the only person that's like fighting for their censorship, and they just like want to like shut her up or whatever.
Yes,
But like with
I think
that
that's the theme too.
story, I just feel like, honestly, like with that story, just something was missing for me. Like it's
Would
like
you
as
have
like
wanted
a
a white
black.
person? Would you feel the
No,
same way
no,
if a
no,
white
no,
person was playing
no.
Alphaba? Because I feel like you keep looking at her as a black person rather than a green person. Like if a white person played those, like in the musical, if
No,
you
I
say
just think it
white,
was
Alphaba stands up
I
and no
think
one else does.
I honestly think it's just I think it's just a vibe thing with Cynthia. like
Okay,
I
because I'm like,
I think it's just like I wish somebody else played her. Like
okay, what is your issue with Cynthia?
I think I am just kind of I don't know, just from like the things that I've seen
What have you
recently. And this is
seen?
just I'm gonna tell you guys. So just I'm just saying that just like that is the stuff that I've intaken. Just like how she has taken some roles that is just kind of like I don't know, like a black American woman probably should have played that. Like
Okay.
I haven't
Hmm.
watched the Harriet movie yet, and
Hmm.
I actually tried to start it like recently, but
Hmm.
like something in me
Hmm.
just does not like cannot
Hmm.
press play on that, and it's just
Hmm.
like you just don't understand that.
I
I
agree.
don't know. But
I
then
mean,
for this one, and I feel like just because of like this one is like okay, she has an American accent. This is like an American, like the Wizard of Oz. I feel like is like an American kind of story. Like if we're gonna do that again, you know. But maybe that's just me being picky. Maybe I just don't have like the vibe for Cynthia right now.
maybe
But
it's that because like that's why I asked because I'm like, if a white person played Alpha, it would still be this
I didn't.
white
Yeah,
person
you're
standing
right.
up to other white people. If you didn't look at the green,
And
right?
also
But
just the writing. I think there could have been some like if you're gonna try to weave in and again,
but I
I
think
don't know the movie. Like I
yeah,
don't even seen the play. So they didn't
musical.
Alexis, it's the same difference to me.
No, it's not.
Okay, musical. Um yeah, like I feel like they so did they have that line about the color? Like I don't see
Like
color or
Bowen
whatever.
Yang, like joking when he was walking away.
Yes, and he was like, I don't see color.
No, like that. Like I mean, his character didn't have that many like the friend of Glinda in the like school didn't
Mm-hmm.
have as many lines as he had. I think that was there for
Mm-hmm.
just like funniness. But I mean, I think but everything else was. I mean like
I mean,
Alphaba standing up, Alphaba like
I am definitely in the minority of this, okay? Like most people love this play, so
but I think it's because you're like again, you just bring a different perspective, which isn't bad perspective, but I just think that
mm-hmm.
like most people who are like loving it are like
Mm-hmm.
like
Comparing it to the
fans of
musical.
Wicked, and they like are like wow they did such a good job like paying homage to this rather than like doing
Mm-hmm.
some weird
Yes.
stuff with it. But I
Right.
mean if
I was
you
like going in for like a message, like, like,
no I mean this is a
and
I
it
mean
being beautiful, but
yeah
like, just from what people were saying, it was just like, but yeah, that makes sense. People were just going to see them
yes we
do the
saw the musical
musical.
in movie form, like we literally saw the same
Right.
themes, the same
Well, then I'm happy for you
script, the
guys.
same like the same message, the same themes, like all in the movie, like nothing changed.
And so,
um
are we at the middle of the musical now,
Yeah,
or
like we're
did
at like intermission. Like she
okay?
sings Defying Gravity and then intermission starts. So like we're at intermission.
Okay, that's
It's gonna pick
exciting.
back up. And I think that maybe I'm curious with what you think in the second half. I
Yeah,
won't
me
spoil it
too.
for you, but
Yeah,
like
don't.
but it's I
But I
feel like a
might go
lot of
see
the
the musical
characters
in between
become
the.
more like you should really like honest and those tickets are cheap because
Yeah, I know.
you
There
should
comes out
really see
every
it
all the
because
time.
I feel like
It'll help me.
you just won't be as critical as the black and white thing because like you'll probably see it with two white leads, like you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
and so it's just like it
Yeah.
really turns into a green person and then non-green people rather than
Mhm.
black and white. um
Mhm.
and I think you'll so then that maybe will like allow you to see it through like
Yes, different lenses.
the world they're in, right,
Yeah,
which
right,
is
right,
rather
right.
than our world.
Mhm.
But I wanted to say, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of criticism on Cynthia. I do, and I think that she's partially to blame, and I think that like the system itself. I mean, I feel like I read
Mhm.
an article months ago when I was working at when I was working at the school in Brooklyn, there was a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people that I worked with who were like wanting to be on Broadway. So we were able to like
Mm-hmm.
bond and talk about
Oh
things.
yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
they were like, did you read this article? And it was specifically about this, how like a lot of Black roles, just in general, a lot of like, you know, producers and stuff will go for like
Mm-hmm.
Black English people because they kind
Yep.
of find them more appealing because of their accent, and they just seem more
Mm.
proper than Black
Mm-hmm.
Americans. So I say
Right.
that to say, yes, Cynthia Erivo should have had in her mind like the knowledge to know like, maybe this role isn't for me. But then also I guess I give her less slack on those type of things, because I'm like, the system that
If you're
she's
offered the
in, she's
role.
still a Black person. Like at the end of the day,
Right.
it's like you got to get in where you fit in this world. And then secondly, like why is it that the system privileges her than like me coming in for a role? And then I guess the
Mm-hmm.
second thing is also, but I more so like, I like Cynthia, but I more so am critical of Cynthia as it comes to just like, I'm curious about her character, because her and Lena Waithe, as from what I've learned, and I
All
followed
right.
this
That's what
years
Danielle
ago.
keeps on talking
Yeah, I
about.
followed this years ago when like Lena Waithe was married to another woman, and I used to follow this
Right.
girl on Instagram. Like I was like stands of
Yes,
them as a
that's what
couple.
Danielle kept on
And
saying. She's
then
like, she's a
Cynthia and
home
her, you know,
wrecker.
got together, broke up the marriage and everything else under the sun. So like I'm more so worried about Cynthia's character
That's how
than like the role
Danielle is.
she's
Yeah.
taking.
But
This
even
is all
that,
alleged.
like but again, the character thing. Again, I'm an energy person,
Hmm.
and it was just something that was just like, this girl could have been maybe somebody else's, and I might have connected better to it if it was. But also just the context of, I can't,
And this is the
my
thing, I want to
subconscious
stand
might have
her.
just,
I want to stand her. Like the girl's
me
talented, but then
too.
also like she like is a dark skinned woman with like very African like features. Right, her nose is
Mm-hmm.
pronounced. She's beautiful smile,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like bald head. Like I mean, I literally am like, I want to stand her because like she is truly
Yes.
like standing in a space that like not many people
Exactly.
would want her in. But I mean, I do stand her, I guess. It's just that I look at her like, girl, what? Like I don't like her and Lena Waithe together at all. I don't like think it's cute. I
It's
don't
an
think it's
energy
funny.
thing. Wait, so she's with Lena Waithe?
Yeah, they're still dating after like the marriage fell apart and everything else.
Oh
Like they're still dating. And to me,
wow.
like to dig your heels in, this is all alleged, but to dig your heels in that type of relationship is kind of like embarrassing to me. Um, and so, yeah, they're still together. Like
Ooh,
Lena Waithe was on,
well, I
like
can't
you know,
wait to
sitting with
talk more
her.
about this.
Yeah, and I think
Because,
for
we used to be
Ariana,
talking about this stuff on the phone.
I know. And like Ariana Grande, I will say this. I think she gave the performance of her
I thought she
lifetime. I
did
think
great.
she will get an Oscar for it. I think
Mm.
and she's also shady too. That's why it's like
Oh
hard for me to
yeah,
hold
she definitely
Cynthia
is. No, it's
heavily.
both of them. It
Hmm.
was it was all of this, honestly, I'm gonna be real, all of the energy behind like the Wicked promo, like I couldn't
Yeah.
100% just be like, yay, because it was just this is like this is really like the machine for real. Like this is the
Oh, it is. It
system,
is.
and
It
it was just
is.
like it was. And again, I don't have that heartstring. Like
Hmm.
I lift up Wicked because I just know that it's amazing, but
Hmm.
I haven't seen it for myself, so it's
Hmm.
just like, yeah. But anywho,
I agree. I think like I am a stan, like I said, of Wicked the musical. It's one of my like I probably have like
it's like
gone through.
Rent for me.
Yeah, I mean, like I probably have had years in Spotify where that was I was in like the top 1% like listeners of
Hmm.
like of Wicked. But I'll say that
Send
like
her some stuff, Wicked.
I know, right? Right? I might stop talking about Wicked since they're not paying us, but I will
Hello.
say like I do think their press run is absolutely a good example of like the machine, and just like how you curate situations. Like I feel like the amount of times Ariana and Cynthia have like cried in interviews and like talked about their connection. I mean, it was just kind of like, wow, y'all are really like going along with the machine, right? Like it's like I'm sure y'all are
Yes.
cool, but I don't know if it's
Right.
this deep.
And
And
that
I
is
get it.
what
Ariana
I
Grande,
felt, Alexis. That is what
but
this is what
I
I'm
feel like
feeling from
that
it.
I feel like that at the interviews. I think they acted their butts off.
No, I think too. I think I'm coming through that with that lens, like of just knowing
Mhm.
that there's just like some fakeness to it, I guess. Oh my god, did you know that the boy that Ariana is with
Yeah.
now went to Georgetown Day School?
I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised.
But like was in like
um,
the grade with our friends.
I didn't know that. I
Anyways,
didn't know he was.
isn't
Oh,
that
I guess
insane?
they're our age, but that's shady too. I mean, he broke off a marriage and he had a newborn
Hello?
baby for Ariana Grande.
A
But he
newborn
was in SpongeBob the
baby.
musical. I've been a fan of him for a couple years.
A
He
newborn baby.
It's interesting. I would love to see like where they go after part two drops.
Right.
But you know what? You know what? Like heal was like so heartwarming to me. Have you seen
Mm-hmm.
those interviews of like young Alphaba and young Nessa?
No.
Okay, so like that to me, like young Alphaba is this like cute little. I
Oh
mean, you
my
saw her in
god,
the movie,
she's so
but as a
cute.
person, she's like a cute little 10-year-old Black British girl. And like they asked her
Yes.
on the red carpet, like, what do you want to like? Okay, what's your like one wish for life? Like, you know, wicked witch or whatever. And she was like, I want to be just like Cynthia. And they were like, what do you mean? She was like, she's
Mm.
just brave. She can sing so well. She's so pretty. Like, I want to be just like her when I grow up. And it's just like that to me,
Aw.
like touched me. Like, I was like, wow. And then like, did
Yes.
you see that video? It was like a video of like young Nessa, which was like the little light skinned girl with curly hair in the
Okay,
wheelchair
yeah.
in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and Nessa Rose, you know, the actual adult actor, like
Mm-hmm.
rolling in on their wheelchairs to the red carpet. And it was just
Mm-hmm.
like, I almost shed a tear because it was just like one of those times where I was like, I don't think I've ever seen this on a red carpet. Like
Mm-hmm.
two people in a wheelchair, one being like 10 years old and like
Yes.
getting like in the biggest movie of the year. I mean, it would literally touch
Mm-hmm.
me. And they're both Black women,
Yes.
just light skinned, but
Yes.
still both Black women. And it just
Yes.
really was like, I
Yeah,
don't
I
know, like
haven't seen any of
it
that.
just touched me and it really showed me like, wow, like, okay, obviously I'm 32-year-old and I'm a fan of Wicked, but there's also like little kids that are a fan of Wicked. And I was just like, they're about to see this and like it's just
Yes.
that's powerful.
No, you are
And I mean,
right.
and so I was just kind of like, oh, like I for what it's worth, like I think they
Yes.
did a lot of justice to the musical, but I think they also like are showing us images. I have never seen a Black alphabet. I want to know if there has been a Black alphabet on Broadway. I actually want to Google that because I've seen like the first Black Glinda happened 2 years ago on Broadway. Like that's how soon it was. So I'm curious if there's been a lead, not like understudy, like a lead Black alphabet on Broadway. Okay, so yeah, so Arivo was only the second Black woman to play Alphaba. And the first one was on the West End, so in London. The first one was not even in the US. Wow.
Wow, that is crazy.
Wow. That is
I think I'm so glad we talked about this though, because I have been just like, like, why don't I like that? Like, why? But I have a very unique perspective. I'm like an angry Black woman right
and I
now,
think you should
coming on.
really, I mean, it's like I'm not saying to separate race because race is a big part of
I
the
know. I just feel
musical.
like that's what they're trying to imply. And it's just
But they were
like,
implying that even when it was a white girl in green. You know what I'm saying?
that's
That's what I'm trying to say.
weird.
Like even because the race is not in their world black and white. Their race is green and
I know. I
neon
just feel like you
green.
can see their features, and it's just like
You can, but
I think it's just trigger. Like my mom
would
even
have
was
been
like,
triggering to you with Idina Menzel, who has like very Jewish features. I guess it's just like they first picked
I
like Idina
guess,
Menzel, who has very Jewish features. Like I'm not trying to be rude, but like
yeah, no,
she has
that's
the
real.
nose. She has like it's
I
like
guess
would
I
that
just
have
think that
still
they're
been the
just
same
beautiful and
reaction?
white. I just am just like, oh, you're just a beautiful white woman. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not like, but that is real. That is real. Like, I just don't think about, I'm just only thinking of it from my perspective. And it
Mm-hmm.
was just funny because my mom, like when she left, she was like, I am a little triggered, like, and it was like, I don't even
Yes,
know if it's because it's like what, I don't know. I would have to ask her again, like
you
why she
should.
exactly felt triggered. But it was just like, yeah, like I felt a little triggered leaving
I
the
mean, this is
movie.
good perspective, right? Nothing is perfect. So like maybe it's good perspective. It's good it's a good
Yeah.
point, and I think
It's just cool. And
It's just
I
cool.
still love, like, I still think it was so fun. Like, I laughed. It was fun. Like, I love the visual world, you know, like it's definitely still worth seeing. And I love how it's like, you know, I love the writing, like how it's written in the black and white over like the beautiful scene. Like it's just beautiful. So go see Wicked, y'all.
All right. Well, this was a
Should
fun
we wrap it up?
conversation, though. This was a fun conversation, though, because I'm just so happy that we got to talk about it because I feel like I have only been talking to people who are like Wicked stands. Like,
I
I'm
know.
so
Don't
happy.
hate me, everybody.
No, I
I
mean, I
know.
think you bring a good perspective. And I think that, like, it's good to see how you're interpreting these things. Um, as a black woman who I look crazy.
I'm like, Alexis is putting on her
I'm
scarf
putting on
right
my
now.
scarf as a black
Alexis don't
woman.
give a fuck.
Well, I'm just like, look, like this
I'm
is supposed to
going
be
to
us on the phone,
bed.
right? This is me on
Yes.
the phone. Um, and so
Oh
yeah,
my
I feel
god.
like it's interesting. It's cute. It's cute. It's good to know how it's hitting
Yeah, other
someone
people.
who isn't seeing it and how you're interpreting it because it seems as though, and this isn't bad, but it seems as though yes, we all know that she's black, but it seems as though that's a
That's
part that like
clouding me.
you're interpreting her as a black person, not as a green person. So
It's
it's
like a
just
black and green person. Like
yeah,
it was
hmm
like, and then I'm
intersectionality
just like,
people
yeah, and then I'm
did
just
a great job
like,
with
and
it.
then I'm just like, all these white people are watching this and like going to
Hmm
see this, and everybody's
That's why I
being
think
mean
you
to
have
this
to see the
black girl.
musical without a black lead, like, and that's terrible to say,
uh,
but I just say that because I wonder if you would have the same
no,
feeling.
that's what I'm saying. I wish I could get the story. That's why I wish. I mean, the story is the same, but I wish
Yes.
that I could have had the context of seeing the play first because yeah, like I don't even know what the story is really
Well,
because
what
it's
was your
like so
favorite
mixed up.
songs before we end it? Like, what was your favorite songs that you
Popular
heard?
was great. Like I thought they
Okay.
nailed that.
hmm
I like the last song. I think that's the
Okay, Define
Defying
Gravity.
Gravity. There was
hmm
a lot of songs. Like I was
hmm
never bothered by the singing. I love, you know, I love musicals when it's
Yeah.
good, you know.
My
So
favorite songs are
yeah, what
One
were
Short
yours?
Day. I was so excited to see what they were going to do for One Short Day.
Aw.
Um, that's the one that's like One Short Day in the Emerald City.
Oh
And
yeah.
then
Oh cute.
I I really love The Wizard and I. I've always loved The Wizard and I, so I was excited to see what she was going to do with it, which was totally different than Idina Menzel. So I was like, oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I love No One Mourns the Wicked, which is the first song you hear where she's like
Okay.
throwing the thing at the fire at the witch. I don't know why, but it's the first song in the musical, obviously. So it's just like, I don't know. I just got chills when I saw her do it because I was like, I remember looking at Julia after No One Mourns the Wicked, being like, oh, she's about to act in
Oh
this.
my
And I
gosh.
think
That's so cool.
because I just feel like that song sets the tone. But for
Mm-hmm.
what's coming next, I'm so excited for you to hear No Good Deed because I feel like that's Cynthia. If she sings it the way I'm assuming she's gonna sing it, it's about to be like whoa, because it's
Mm-hmm.
very much all like belting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'm really excited to hear Thank Goodness, which is the first song we'll hear in the second movie. And I don't know, I love all their songs, but One Short Day, I
Yeah.
thought they killed it. Like, I thought it was
Yeah, they
exactly how
did.
they envisioned the Emerald City to look, you know?
Yes,
Um,
yes. Oh,
and so,
oh
yeah.
right. That's when they go to Emerald
hmm
City. And they're like on the
Oh, and What Is
train
This
and stuff.
Feeling? They did a great job with What Is This Feeling?
What is
Like,
that
I think
one?
loathing,
Oh
wish.
yeah, I love that song too. I
I
like
did think they
remember
did a
them
good
from it.
job of showing that like they interact in many different ways and still like can't get along. Um,
Mhm. Mhm. Oh
so I liked
yeah.
that one, and I love What Is This
Yeah.
Feeling? I love in musicals when there's two different parts singing at the same time, and so I was really happy about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
I
was just
guess I
good.
just wish,
It was
and
just really, really
maybe
good.
this is the last thing I'll say. I wish I could have seen more of Alphaba's stuff. Like in, like, I'm saying, like, in her room
But
specifically.
she's not cared about. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, her dad basically ran, like, is like, she's only enrolled at the school because the teacher's like, hey,
Right.
I'll tell your
Okay,
dad to
gotcha.
like
She
enroll
didn't
you.
have any stuff.
Right. Her parents resent her for like how the daughter came out. Like, she's not cared for.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? So it's like she doesn't
yeah.
have stuff. She doesn't have
Right. And
friends.
that just
She doesn't
hurt me so much being a black girl. Like, it
Yes.
was just a lot. Like, as like, it was just, and then like everybody's like, your skin is as twisted as your insides. I'm just
Mhm.
like, ah.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
it was really, like, now that I'm like talking about it, I would like to see it again. Probably in the comfort of my own home. I'm
Honestly, I would go
excited
see
to see
Wicked with
that.
you, and like
Aw, maybe with
if you come
Courtney.
to New York, or I'll come here and we'll see the
Oh, come to
BeyHive
see it on
Broadway.
yes.
Um,
Okay.
and I love Dancing Through. I mean, I just love all the songs, but I thought he did a good job with Dancing Through Life too. Um, yeah, it was just good. I mean, I was pleased. The only person I was like laughing at was Michelle. Is her name Yo?
Yes, I
I
love
thought
her.
she did
Oh
terrible
my, that is
in her
funny.
singing, because this is the thing.
What?
That song, I feel like, the one song she
Mm-hmm.
does that leads up into The Wizard and I, in the musical, it like, I feel like that song sets the tone that, like, without her even showing, like, she shows she's
Mm-hmm.
kind of evil in that song. I feel like Michelle Yeoh didn't really show that. Like, at first, I really felt like there were people who could have watched and thought she was an advocate until they get to the Emerald City. And
That's what I thought.
I feel like on Broadway, the way she sings that song, it's more
Right,
evil,
you
it's more
know
sinister.
she's a villain.
From the beginning, she's the villain. And I was pissed because I had heard that Shirley Ralph has played that part on Broadway before. She's actually the first
Mm.
Black woman who's played that part. And I was like, I would have
Mm.
killed for Shirley Ralph to have played
Yes.
that part, because she would have put
Oh,
the like
that blows me.
evil, sinister, but still
Yes.
kind of sings it well, twist on it where you
That
get
makes me really
picture.
mad
And
because
so that was the only casting where I was like, she did terrible.
I just watched, and it's funny because I just love her as an actress, so it was just like, oh yay, whenever she was on the TV. But
Hmm.
now with that context, yes. But with Shirley Ralph, like, that makes me mad too, because I just watched this interview of her and Jack Gay, and they were like talking about their careers and
Hmm.
how Shirley Ralph, like when Dreamgirls came out, they didn't really honor the original Dreamgirls like that.
Hmm.
Like, they
Hmm.
weren't in it. Like, they should have been in it.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
the girls were in this one,
Hmm.
and like,
Hmm.
even during just like the award time, it was just like I had to like find out that, like,
Yeah, they went
that's
on the press run, and
they
so I
were
think
not
that,
there.
and so
Yeah.
I feel like that goes. I mean, that's a plus for Wicked to me. But I think that's
Yes.
because, let's be
Exactly.
clear, and I
Yep.
think this is a miss for Dreamgirls. I think that's
Yep.
because Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo is a Broadway star. Like, you know what I'm saying? She started on
Mm.
Broadway.
Okay, I didn't
Ariana
know that
Grande.
either.
Yeah, like, she's not just an actor. Like, she was on The Color Purple. She has been in other casts. Like,
All
she is
right.
a Broadway star. Ariana
Got it.
Grande, she comes from the theater background, right? She was on Nickelodeon. Her like this was her dream role. She saw Wicked when she was 10 and has kept in touch with Kristen Chenoweth since then. This
All
was her, like,
right.
these are Broadway girls, so it's like they were never going to ever think of doing this without honoring their past.
All
I feel
right.
like, and I'm not trying to knock anyone, but I'm just saying Beyonce and Jennifer Hudson are not Broadway girls. So it's just like I can see a
Mm.
world where they might not have even known who played the original people on Dreamgirls until they got the part and learned about it. Now the
Mm-hmm.
other girl, what is her name? It's like it starts with the. She was
Anika.
yeah, Anika. She comes from the theater. You know what I'm saying? So she probably
Okay.
knew. But it's just like I feel like that goes to show. I remember watching an interview with Cynthia and Ariana where they told the people after they got the parts that they were not proceed unless Kristen and Idina were somewhat a part of it, because that is the. I mean, they are the blueprint, the cult. Like, this is the, everyone knows them as
Mm-hmm.
the Wicked people,
All
and I
right.
feel like I would be willing to bet that, like, Jennifer Hudson and Beyonce, I don't know this, but I'm just saying they're not theater girlies like that, like how they are, like how Cynthia and Ariana
I
are. That
more
I can
so
see a
just
world where they probably
blame.
didn't really think
I
twice. They got the
mean,
part. And it's
I
not
also
on them,
just,
but I'm just saying, like,
yeah, I just feel
I'm
like
just
they were
saying that's the
young.
difference. We're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
like
yeah.
Broadway people versus non-Broadway people.
Right. And I would also say I more so blame the people that do know. Like, like
Mhm.
somebody there should have been like, we need to do this. Like, we need to give these women another
And I
opportunity.
also think that's why, like,
Those girls were young,
and that's why I'm very big on like, and let's end it at this point, but
Yes.
I'm very big on like musical adaptations going to Broadway stars because
Yeah.
one, it gives them more like space to get more into the mainstream, even though I would argue Broadway is mainstream to some extent, but like, you know what I mean. But then
Mm-hmm.
also because I am sorry, no one on this planet can sing a Broadway song like a Broadway person, you know? And so it's
Mm-hmm.
just like for me, I feel like that's why you end up with like kind of misses when you do like stunt casting, right? When you cast Jennifer Hudson, when you cast because it's just like people that come from Broadway will just honor it in a different way than like a
Yeah.
celebrity will. And
Yeah.
I also think like Rent, I think that's why Rent was such a big hit. I mean, yes, we had
Mm-hmm.
Rosario Dawson, but
Right.
everybody else that was in the Black Girl,
Right.
everyone else was the original Broadway cast. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So it's just like that's why it was such a freaking hit, including Taye Diggs. He was on the original
Yep.
Broadway musical.
Yep.
And so I feel
I
like
love
sometimes
Rent.
and like Waitress, the musical is about to come out, and like it will be a hit because it is the original not the original, but it is Broadway cast
Right.
like doing it. And so that's why I just think and Dreamgirls was a hit. I'm not trying to say it wasn't, but I'm just saying that like
Yeah.
you
It'll
got
just
the girlie
hit
singing
different.
live on
It'll
Wicked.
hit different.
Right. Like on Wicked, Cynthia and Ariana sang live. Like that wasn't like,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying? Like there's a different level you can get with Broadway. It wasn't like they were lip
Mm-hmm.
syncing over songs and acting. They sang those vocals live,
Whoa.
you know?
Oh my
Um
goodness. That gives
like
a whole other
exactly,
take
that's what I'm
too.
saying. Like it's just like there's so many layers to this. Like Cynthia Erivo was in a harness upside down singing that live, you know?
Right.
And so
Right.
it's just like and that's because Broadway stars can do it. They do it every night, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so I'm a big proponent on like Broadway stars should be casted in musical adaptations. I don't care if
Mm-hmm.
you're famous, like move, you know, you have plenty of money, move over for the people who like, you know,
Yes.
need the
Right.
shine.
Really care about this story.
And that's why I was
Yeah.
originally mad because I followed this girl named Taylor who was in the original Broadway cast of Mean Girls. She tried out for Glinda, and I remember when she put that she had tried out, I was like, "Oh, she's gonna kill it!" Like I was so excited. And then she made a thing
Mm-hmm.
being like, "I didn't get it. It's going to Ariana Grande," and I was like, "What?"
Oh my
Like I was so
God.
disappointed, you know. Um,
Yes.
but whatever, it is what it
That's
is.
one thing I learned about the Broadway people. Like y'all are like it is like a community that like there's things that are going on and happening, and like if you're not in the know, like you don't know what the hell's going
You
on.
should join us,
I
Aubrey,
want to
because there's
get
so
more
many
in the
musicals you'll
know. I
love. Like
I
join us.
love musicals. I love plays. I love acting. I love any type of thing like that. And I do
You
I
might like
do
a
I
strange loop. If you want to get into like black musicals, you should start at in queer musicals.
ooh,
A black queer
yeah.
musical, you should listen to a strange loop.
Listen to or come watch it.
I mean, I don't know if you might be able to watch it on YouTube, but
You're talking about listen to the songs?
listen to the songs, the
Oh,
soundtrack.
okay.
You'll
Oh,
get
okay.
the idea of what's happening.
Oh,
Um
okay.
and it's
Denzel's about to be on Broadway. I wish I
oh,
could
is
see
he?
him. Yeah, he's about to do Othello. I'm like,
I
I
guess I'm
would love
not
to see that.
serious.
I just
Okay, let's wrap
love.
it up.
Yes, let's wrap it up. Okay, Denzel, love you. You did great in Gladiator too. We love you guys. Email us your discussion topics at whoamitojudgepod@gmail.com. Be paying attention to our Instagram and our socials because we got some good stuff coming. And yeah, like, follow, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to email us your discussion topics at whoamitojudgepod@gmail.com. Also, remember to subscribe to Who Am I to Judge podcast on Spotify and everywhere you get your podcast. If you love us, please rate us and review. And if you don't, leave us alone. Tell a friend to tell a friend. See y'all next week. Bye, friends.